Hello and welcome. We're going to work on React Router DOM right now. So let's get to it. We're just going to make a new React. So what we'll want to do is cd to where we want to put it. I'm just going to put mine on the desktop. And then I'm going to npx create-react-app. And then I'll name it React Router. That's what we're testing out. All right, when you're done, just follow these directions so that you can make sure the setup went perfectly. So we'll see the React router, and then I will yarn start. That should give you the React logo spinning on the screen. If it does that, you're in good shape. There it is, perfect. We're going to head back and get rid of all the things we don't need by going to open folder and going to the folder we just made. Mine's on my desktop, React router. Now I'm going to go into src, highlight the CSS, the app test, the index CSS, the logo SVG, the service worker, and the setup test. We don't need them for what we're doing. We're going to just delete them all. And that will break the app, but that's okay. We'll just get rid of all the things that we deleted from the imports and from the bodies. We'll just return here just a self-closing div in the app. And in the index, we need to get rid of the service worker and the index.css that we deleted, and get this service worker out of here as well, and save up. And let's see what we're working with. I'll get the terminal up again and do a yarn start one more time. It should be a blank screen if it is working now. It is a blank screen. We want to navigate screen to screen with React Router, and what you usually have in your app kind of looks like this. And you're not just going to have one div in your app, you're going to have an entire page here. So here is where we keep all of our finished work in our app here, and we'll import our pages and bring them back. But for right now, let's just do 2 pages. Let's do a div here. This will be 1 page, and I'm just going to give it a class name so I can illustrate what's happening. The class name, this will be login. This is our login page, okay? And it's just going to read login, all capitals. And we're going to do 1 more, and this is going to be the class name shop. This is our shop page. And the way we have it in right now, if we imported this from 2 separate files, they're just going to line up under each other. So here it says login and shop. We want this to be 2 separate pages, and we want to be able to navigate between them by having different HTTP endpoints. So let's work on that. Now, this page and this page are going to go in their own files. So go to src and let's make a auth folder, and let's also make a shop folder. And just looking ahead, I think we're going to need a header as well so we can navigate between them. So just make a header folder as well. Let's start with the auth folder, put in there login.js. Perfect. Now we'll import React capital from React, and const login is a fat arrow function. And on the bottom, we want to export default login. Now in here, we're just doing what we did there. We have a div and we're returning login. Now let's move over to our shop, and we're going to do the same thing. So let's grab this and we'll move over into shop. We'll do the same thing right here. Just add a new file, call it shop.js in that shop folder. And now where it says login, change that to shop. And that one's ready to go. Now header, we need to put it at the top of the screen, so that will take a moment. So we'll need to do some sort of CSS. So let's just look at what we have so far. Now we should have basically recreated what we made as our page now. So we want to import login from, then we want to get to the auth folder and then to login, and we want to import shop, and that's coming from the shop folder. So shop and then shop, And now instead of this, oh, we have something wrong here. Expected assignment or function call in login. Let me see. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't return anything from these. Let's just go back and do our returns real quick. Return this and go to shop and return this as well. That ought to fix it. Okay, great. So that fixes that. And now we have this login and shop. And right now our page looks like this with login and shop. Now that we bring in these separate pages, it should look the same. So instead of this div, we'll get rid of it. I'm just going to write login. And here I'm just going to write shop. All self-closing. Let's see what we have. And now we have the same thing. Login and shop, and they're still on the same page, but we want to navigate between them. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a quick header. So the header will give us two different points to navigate between. One will say login, one will say shop. So go into your header file and make a header.js. Now over in header.js, we're going to import React from React. But we have one more thing to import, and before you do that, hit Control-C in your terminal to kill the process. And what we want to do is yarn add react-router-dom. This is the package we're using to do our routing. So now let's import link. Now put this in curly braces from React router DOM. Did not want to auto finish that one for me. Okay, so const header fat arrow function. Let's export default that header. Perfect. Now inside of here, we are going to return, we won't forget that one again, and we will have a div with the class name of header, because we will have to style this just to keep it at the top really. And we'll want a link. Now these are actually from React Router DOM. We're starting to work with the package now. The link, I'm going to give it a class name so we could put it on one side of the header. We'll call it a header left. Header dash left. Actually, let's do the underscore way. So header underscore underscore left, and then we have to give it a direction. So we're giving it a route. 2 is going to equal, that's going to be the main part. So right here, this link will be our login link, and that'll be our main link. So when you come to the site, you're going to see login. Now we have to do one more link here. I'm just going to copy it down, and this will be header right, and this one is shop. And where's it going to? Let's just make it shop. So it'll be /shop to get to the shop link. And we'll save that up. And now we have header set up. We still have to do the styling to it, but let's bring in our React router DOM into the app.js first, because we won't be able to use, let me go back. We won't be able to use these link calls unless this is inside what's called a router. So we're going to do that now by going to app.js. Now at the top of app.js, we're going to bring in a bunch of stuff from React router DOM. We're going to import, and this is how they say to do it on the website, so I'm not making up different names for things, but they have something called browser router, and they think you should import it as router. So that's how we'll do it. We'll do it just like that, and then it has a switch and it has a route. Okay, so we're importing something called browser router, but we're going to refer to it as router. That's what that says right there. From React router DOM. Now let's start putting this where it should be. Now inside of the div, we want to put the router. The router needs to be wrapped around everything that needs to communicate with React router DOM. So we're going to put it around all of this. So there's our router. Next, we need a switch. The switch goes between the routes you want to switch between, and that's these two. So that makes it pretty simple. We'll put our switch right between our routers right there. And then we're going to have our routes. Now, these two right here are going to go away for the moment, and we're going to type in route, capital, and exact. We want an exact path for this first one because it is going to be the base path. It has to be exactly this. And the component that will be displayed is login. And we could close that and make it self-closing. Now we're going to do, I self-closed in the wrong spot. There we go. Let's do one more. And this will be shop, and this will be shop. So now we have a router which is switching between routes. But we made a header before that will help us switch between these routes. And where we need to put that is not within this switch. We don't want the header in the switch. The header is not one of the routes. So the header is going to go right here, and we'll import it in a moment. Oh, we could auto import, that's great. And let's take a look at that. Now we should have access to link in our header file here, because we are within router, which is right here within our header. So we have access to all the React Router DOM stuff, but we are not one of the routes within the switch. Let's head over, take a look. We see we have login shop up here. I did something wrong. Oh, component with the T. Otherwise, it won't return the component. There we go. We have login and we have shop. Here we are in shop. Here we are in login. We've actually already showed how React Router DOM works. I'm just going to make this a bar on top, just so if you need to come back to this, you can understand that this is your navigation bar and this is what's displaying as a page. So let's just do a little CSS to do that right in our header. So header, just make a header.css. And let's do a tiny bit of CSS in there. So first we'll do dot header. And in dot header, we'll have a display flex, and we'll do a width, and I want the width to be the entire amounts. We'll say 100% viewport width, VW. We'll do a height of, let's just do 4 rem, even though we really didn't define a base rem value. And then we'll do a font size of half that. We'll do 2 rem. And we'll justify the content center, so they're right next to each other in the middle. And oh, I didn't import this into app yet. Let's import that into app. Import ./header, and then it's header.css. Perfect. There we go. Now we have login and shop right next to each other here. I'd like to separate them from each other a little bit. So let's just do that. So dot header. And we'll just do the left one. That'll give us separation. And we'll just do a margin left and right here. Margin left, 2 rem. Margin right, 2 rem. The margin right probably would have been enough. But there we go. Now we have a little separation, and we can show, hey, I want to navigate to login, and there's our login. I want to navigate to shop, and you can see we went to shop. And that's the basics of React Router DOM. You can see it here. Remember, your switch is going to hold your routes and your routes only. Don't put things like your header or footer in there. They are not routes. All right, great job on this one, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. We're building up to some really, really fun projects. We're going to get into Stripe soon. If you want to add payments to your website, we're going to do all of Stripe. So just follow along. We need all of this sort of stuff to get to doing that, the more advanced things. I'll talk to you guys soon. I'll see you on the next one.